What's up, guys? Welcome back to the podcast. This is episode, I don't even know anymore.
16, I think. We're doing it.
Yep.
We're getting to 20.
So last week we did not have a podcast because we were traveling. We want to get into that. That's an entire roller coaster of a story.
We went to Texas and Oklahoma with Phoebe, 2.5 years old, and Shepherd, who's 9 months old, and in the car.
And no, we didn't just go. We drove.
Yeah.
12 hours to Texas. Okay. Should we just tell the story of how everything played out?
Yeah, let's get into it.
Yeah. So the day before we're supposed to leave to go to drive to Texas, both of the kids get sick. Phoebe has a fever and Shepherd is throwing up aggressively all over me in the middle of the night. Pooped all over me. He has the worst diarrhea I've ever seen in a baby.
I forgot about the diarrhea.
It was all over our bed, all over me. It was just a disaster. We can't cancel this trip because we've had it planned and because it's for Carlos's work.
Yep.
So we're like, okay, let's just give him some medicine. Let's see how it goes. So we packed the car. The kids are doing okay. Shepherd's not throwing up anymore. Okay, 15 minutes into our drive, Shepherd has a poopy diaper. So we're like, okay, let's stop at Chick-fil-A. We'll grab, or we went to go to Dutch Bros to get some coffee.
Yeah.
And Chick-fil-A was right next to Dutch Bros. So I was like, hey, I'll just take him out and we'll walk over to Chick-fil-A and I'll change him really quick. Well, I get in the changing room. You guys, I've never seen anything like it. I've never seen anything like this. Shepherd, I go to pull down his pants. And his pants, he was wearing little sweats. His sweatpants were filled with poop. Absolutely just filled with poop. I just threw them away. I threw them in the trash. At this point, we're already on a road trip. We are not going to go back home. I can buy him new pants. They were getting small on him anyway.
Didn't you put them in a bag first?
So first I put them to the side. I wasn't going to wash them out in the Chick-fil-A sink because there were people in the bathroom.
Yeah, and none of the poop made it in the diaper, you said, right?
And yes, I go to change his diaper and there's no poop in his diaper. It all went out the side of his diaper into his pants.
Yeah.
It was so bad.
Know. How does that happen?
I don't know. It was so bad though. And so then I'm holding his poopy clothes and holding him. And I go to the Chick-fil-A because I thought we would save it somehow. Because my first instinct was not to throw it away because I don't like to waste things. Yeah. But so I'm holding his poopy clothes and trying to conceal it as much as I can and keep all the poop contained. And I go to the Chick-fil-A worker and I'm like, hey, can I get a plastic bag? And she goes, yeah. And she hands me one of the condiment bags that are this big.
Yeah.
And she goes, yeah, this is all we have. I know darn well that they had bigger bags because I've seen them. Okay.
Well, they have paper bags.
Yeah. Well,
I don't know if they had
so
bigger.
She gave me that little tiny thing and I shove all the poopy clothes in there and I walk over back to the car and I took a picture of what his sweatpants looked like and I sent it and I showed Carlos and he goes, did you throw away his clothes? I go, no, they're in this bag. And he was like, go throw those in that dumpster right now.
Yeah. Yeah, because our options were keep it in the car for the entire trip that we just started or go home again, which was only
and we already left late.
Yeah. And so I was like, just throw them away.
Yeah.
To me, it's it's so much more worth buying new clothes than having to clean poop off of old clothes.
Yeah.
That was gross.
Yeah. So then we throw that away and we get started on a road trip. Just on the way there, both of the kids were not doing great. Phoebe did okay because I got her a coloring book, but Shepherd was not having it. We had to constantly feed him little snacks. And we had to make a lot of stops so that I could feed him and get him back to sleep. But and Carlos and I were both just over it at this point. We were arguing with each other. It was just not, it was such a hostile car ride. It was just not fun. So then we stop at this place called the Big Texan. in Amarillo, so that because Carlos wanted to show me. It's like a really cool place to eat. And
I didn't really like it.
That whole experience was just not good either. Like, it should have been a fun experience. And there were parts of it that were like, okay, but both of the kids were just screaming. And Shepherd, when you don't feed him fast enough, he's like screeches, like scream. And you can't control a baby. Yeah. You can't tell Shepherd to stop. And so, and our waitress was just being kind of rude, and it was just not great. So then we get to where we're supposed to be, to our hotel. And Carlos and I are still arguing and fighting and just not being loving to each other. And he's super stressed out because he's late and he's got to like carry all this gear up and whatever. So then I spent like the whole first day in Texas, just like in the hotel room. And it was like this big, fancy, super expensive hotel. And I wasn't going to leave to go get food with the kids like in the car. I just wasn't comfortable leaving by myself in a different state, in a big city. And so I ordered room service, and it was just a hamburger and French fries and a quesadilla and French fries was $90. $90. It was absolutely insane. And then the next couple of days were like, okay, they were fun. I got to like hang out with my aunt and my cousins, and Phoebe got to meet them and hang out and stuff. But then, you want to tell this part? Leaving to go to Oklahoma?
No.
No? Why?
I've just been sitting here letting you tell the whole story. I'm just listening.
Yeah. So then it's time to leave the conference that we're at, and we're going to drive 5 hours to go to Oklahoma and see the rest of my family. So we get all packed in the car and whatnot. I actually packed the car, and then I didn't do it right. So Carlos unpacked everything and repacked it the correct way. And then we're driving to Oklahoma, and we go through like the worst storm I have ever seen. We had to pull over at a gas station and like sit under like the canopy thing because you could not see with how our windshield wipers could not go fast enough to be able to see where we were going. And the wind was like blowing us, and it was just all crazy. So we had to wait out that storm. And then we get to Oklahoma, right? We're finally at my aunt's house, and we're unpacking the car, and Carlos goes, Emily, where's that little box, that little felt box that has all the camera gear in it? And I was like, it should be in the back of the car. I put it back there. And he goes, it's not back here. Then we realized when Carlos unpacked the car and repacked it, he left all the camera gear, $6,000 worth of camera gear, in the parking garage at the hotel. So he's calling, and he's like calling the hotel, calling the parking garage, calling this and that, trying to figure out if they found it or if they can go look for it and send it to us. And everyone was like, we can't find it. We'll let you know if we do. And so then we spend like the next 2 days in Oklahoma just like kind of stressed over that. And then Phoebe got sick again and started throwing up, had a fever, and then Shepherd got a fever. And so we just left in the middle of the night. Both the kids woke up. Like, we left 2 days early. Both the kids woke up in the middle of the night. They were not going back to sleep. And so we decided we're just going. We're going to go home right now. So I woke my aunt up at 3 a.m. and I was like, hey, we're going to go right now because both the kids are just like, they're sick and we just want to get home. And so we leave, and then we're like 6 hours from home. And we get a text from our neighbor. She goes, call 911. Carlos's motorcycle was stolen last night. And we're just sitting here like, this cannot be real. This can't be real.
I didn't even have enough stuff. I didn't have enough energy to even care at that point.
Yeah. Yeah. And he was so extremely calm about it.
Yeah.
I was getting fired up. I was like, I'm going to find this I'm going to find this guy who stole it and I'm going to beat him up. And I'm going to, like, I'm over here raging. It's not even my motorcycle. And Carlos is just like, just calm. Doesn't even seem upset. And I'm like, what is going on?
It just felt right. I think it just felt like, yeah, of course.
Yeah. Like, what else could go wrong? Like, we should have expected this at this point.
Yeah.
So it was just not a good trip. And I think we've kind of learned our lesson on road trips. We're not going to me personally, I'm not going to plan a road trip unless it's like 3 hours. 3 hours is the most we could do in the car with the kids right now at this stage of life. It was so bad. So then you want to tell next part? Finding your motorcycle?
I don't know. I think it was just all so much that I'm like, still not even.
I know it doesn't seem real. Like, you tell this and you're like, people aren't even going to believe me because this is so.
Not that. It's like it all just happened last week.
Yeah.
And so I'm still
processing.
I'm just tired of life right now.
I know. It's like, can we catch a break?
And slapping me around. But yeah, so motorcycle was gone. Our neighbor sent me a video of 2 guys walking up to it and ducking behind it. And that was all the information that she had. So I called the police and I let them know it was stolen. And they basically said, all right, we'll let you know if we find it. But that means if we happen to pull someone over riding your motorcycle and we run the plates and it's comes up as stolen, then we'll call you. They're not doing any sort of active searching. It's passive. So I was just like, okay, I guess I'm not going to see that bike again. And I didn't even know if I wanted to, because it's like, I know that they damaged it. I knew it wasn't going to come back the same. And so, yeah, I just didn't want to even see it again. So I submitted a claim through our insurance saying it was stolen. And they said it would be about a month before they move on with the process because they want to make sure it's actually gone and it doesn't just reappear. So that was last week, Wednesday, last week. So a week and a half ago, I guess now, that the bike got stolen. And then, yeah, called the police, did all that stuff. 2 days ago, I get a call from an unknown number and I answer it figuring it's the police. And it was a guy saying, hey, do you own a Suzuki motorcycle that was stolen? And I was like, yeah. He's like, I have your bike, man. And so then my first thought was just like, what? Like, what do I even say? Like, thank you?
Yeah.
Like, I didn't even know what to.
Yeah.
It's like, cool.
Can you let me know what to do next?
Yeah, I didn't even know what to do. So I was like, what happened? Like, you just explain what happened? He's like, oh yeah, just someone was riding it downtown and thought it looked suspicious. So we ran the plates and it came up as stolen. And so they pulled the guy over and arrested him. Surprised he didn't try to run.
Yeah.
But yeah, they pulled the guy over, sent me photos of my bike. And it was, I'll put up photos of what it used to look like.
So bad.
It used to have stars and stripes. It was an American flag themed motorcycle. Really cool.
It was so cool.
You never liked it.
I thought it was a really cool bike. I never liked the idea of you riding it.
But if I was going to ride a motorcycle, that was the one. That was the one. That was a cool bike. Yeah. So he sends me photos and it's spray painted green and black. Or I don't even know if it was spray painted because
it kind of looked like they might have used a paintbrush.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's because
it looked like wall paint with the way it was chipping off and stuff.
Yeah. I thought it looked somewhat decent. Like they didn't I thought they would just spray paint the entire thing.
Mm-hmm.
But they actually
took it apart.
That's what I thought. But then I went to the impound yard lot.
Do you think maybe just taped it?
I don't even know if they did that because the frame is actually painted. So it looks a little more messy in person.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So the police were like, hey, if you can get it to start, you can come get it. But based off the photos they sent, the ignition had a hole in it and there was a like a wrench in there. So they were using that to turn the ignition on. And then the fairings were cracked and a few other things, but I just told them like if you can just take it wherever you guys take it. So they took it to their impound lot. This is all kind of boring, but I called insurance and they said that they'll come get it and estimate the damage and then send me a check.
Well, and then you saw a whole bunch of motorcycles
Yeah.
at the impound lot, right?
Yeah, so I went to the impound lot yesterday and I was surprised how big it was. Like it's kind of tucked away. It's by the jail. I didn't know that.
So the guy that stole your motorcycle was probably in there.
Maybe. I don't know. Could have been.
Oh my gosh.
Unless they let him go.
I don't
I'm
think they
wondering what
would. I
happened.
think no, a stolen vehicle because a stolen vehicle, you're arrested, you go to jail.
Maybe he went to jail. Maybe he was in that same jail. But yeah, I went to the impound lot. I was like the only person there. And I went, there's this like little building where there was a couple people working in it and walked up to the guy. And I was like, hey, I think my motorcycle's here. I want to release it so that my insurance can come pick it up. And so he was like, okay, just sign these things. And then do you want to go look at it? And I was like, I guess, like, I'll go check it out. So I went and looked at it. And yeah, in person, it was super ugly. I was walking up. There was probably like 30 bikes in a row that were most of them were standing up. Some of them were laid down. But mine was standing up in the middle of the pack. And he's like, yeah, take whatever videos. If you need anything off of it, like you can take it. So I just took a video of the whole bike and then looked at all the damage. And once I was done with that, we turned around and I looked in this other corner of the lot and there was probably like 100 bikes all just scattered in this other area. And I was like, really, these are all like, how'd these all get here? Are these all stolen bikes? And he was like, unfortunately, those are all fatalities. And so I was just like, oh my goodness. It was so crazy to see. I mean, it's like a daily thing in Colorado Springs.
Yeah.
Where someone's like, oh, this person got hit and died. Oh, this person crashed. This person died.
Yeah.
And that's one thing, but to actually go to the impound
Yeah,
yard
because you don't think about like where does that bike go? Like what happens after somebody dies and then to see the actual numbers because we're so used to it now. Hearing like, oh, fatal motorcycle accident.
Yeah.
Like you're so used to seeing that every single day here that you don't realize how much the numbers have added up.
Yeah, it's still sad when I read it, like it's mostly on Facebook because I'm part of the writing group chat.
I think the saddest one that I have read was about the teenager that was on his way to school and he died.
Yeah.
And then also there was a guy going on what they call a church ride. And that's where you go as fast. It's basically asking for death at that point. You're going as fast as you can in the city. So the speed limit's 35, 40 miles an hour. This guy's going 100 plus. And it's supposed to be like an adrenaline rush. But he died and he had a wife who was pregnant and a little 2-year-old daughter, right? 2-year-old daughter.
Yeah. I don't remember how many kids
it was absolutely heartbreaking. Like I couldn't imagine being in that woman's position.
But
and then I would be angry. I would be so pissed off at you if you died and it was because you were being stupid and reckless.
Yeah. Which is what most of them, I mean, that guy, was going super fast.
He was asking for it.
Missed a turn and wrapped himself around a tree. But yeah, so it was crazy to just see all the bikes there in one corner of a lot. Just like they had their last ride. Like now they're just there. I don't know. It was just crazy to look at. But so the guy tells me, you know what? Most of these people weren't wearing helmets. Like that's one of the biggest reasons that people die. And he said that like you wear a helmet, you'll probably still get hurt. Like that's just if you crash, it's gonna hurt and you're probably gonna get injured. But a lot of people who die aren't wearing helmets or they're not wearing any sort of gear, which I wear my gear all the time when I'm riding. Um, and then speed and alcohol are the other big things. So if you're speeding, um, like a huge portion of accidents are caused by speeding. And then I think it's like a third of them are speeding and then a third of them are alcohol related or something. And then that can overlap a little bit too. Like you could be drunk and speeding. But anyway, it was sobering, no pun intended. But or maybe that's how you're supposed to use the word.
Did it kind of open your eyes to like why I get so worried about you riding? Even if you're such a good driver, like other people aren't. Other people aren't looking out for motorcycles. And so like every time you leave on your bike, I'm thinking like I pray every time you leave.
See, that's what they say though. It's like people say it's not if you crash, it's when you crash. Things like that. And they're like, "Oh, it's not always in your control." Which I get that. I'm sure there's some situations where it's like completely unavoidable. But knowing the statistics of how many people are speeding, how many people aren't wearing helmets, how many people are drinking and driving, like that's where I'm like, okay, that's where the majority of deaths come from. And so it didn't really make me too worried about myself. Like, I'm not like, oh no, I'm going to die. I didn't look at all those bikes. I mean, it kind of felt a little bit of that. Like, I guess there's a possibility that my bike could be over there one day. But I wasn't like, to me, it's like the same chance that I get in a car accident because I'm doing everything right when I'm riding. I'm not weaving through traffic. I'm not flying in between cars. I'm not drinking. I'm very aware of what's going on around me. I've avoided a lot just because I pay attention.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you've seen just how I drive, and I know you make fun of me because I say that like I'm such a great driver, but I honestly do think that I'm like top 1% of drivers, I think. I think so.
You're cocky.
No, I think, well, because if you think about the amount of people who are texting, the amount of people who drink and drive, the amount of women on the road.
Oh my gosh, don't even start.
No, but there's so many people who shouldn't be driving, elderly people who I think there should be some sort of driver's test that you need to pass once you reach a certain age.
Oh, I agree with that.
Yeah, because you get a driver's license when you're 20 and then you can just hold on to that for the rest of your life. Like you have to send in some money and get it renewed.
You don't have to take any like retest or anything. And then you hear about like elderly people like I've heard of stories of elderly people like having a stroke while they're driving that causes a big accident.
Yeah.
Or like literally just like having a heart attack and dying while they're driving and it causes an accident. Or they're just so like not there.
Yeah. It's crazy how they can just not see something.
Yes.
Like a lot of the accident. I mean, I watch so many accident videos just on the internet, but I feel like a lot of them, it's just some old person trying to make a turn where they shouldn't be, right into a car or right into someone who's riding a bike or whatever. It's like, yeah, there definitely should be some sort of test once you reach 70, like, and then maybe every 5 years after that, you have to go and make sure that you can still drive.
Yeah.
But it would be interesting to look at the statistics and see how many accidents are
actually caused
involved by caused or an elderly person is involved. Anyway, where was I going with that? Oh, that's why I think I'm the like top 10% for sure. In a room of 100 people, the 10 best drivers, I would be in there. I'd be in that group. You think you'd be in the top 10 or you think I would?
Me.
Oh, you're pretty good.
I'm a pretty good driver. I have
Except-
made a couple mistakes.
Yeah.
Like a few weeks ago, not a few, like a couple months. It was 3 months ago now that happened.
When you hit someone?
No, I didn't hit somebody like actively. Like I was in a parking lot and it was such a full parking lot and I found like the only open space. So I went to go turn and the space was on my right. And I went to go turn in, but there was a car coming down the same aisle as me. So I couldn't like go wide and turn in. So I had to like just try to turn in. And I thought that I had made it and I was almost all the way in. And then the back side of my car just scraped the side, like the front of the car to my right. And I felt so bad. Yeah, I was
it's funny 'cause
crying and
you came to me or you called me and you're like, oh, there's like no damage. Like there was a little scuff on the car, but I wiped it off or something.
yeah.
But yeah, that I think it was that night I came home and I looked at the car and there was a big old scratch on the front of it.
But no, because listen, the front of the car did not touch at all. That's what I'm saying. It was the back of the car. It was the back. So I don't know where that scratch came from, but that wasn't that time. It was not, I promise you.
Maybe you need to take another driving test.
Okay. Anyway, let's go on another topic that's not so like heavy. I feel like yeah. Look at my I'm ripped.
Emily really wants to talk about how much she's been working out.
Yeah. Because I'm so proud of myself. After like leaving the Marine Corps and having 2 kids, I was in the worst shape of my life. I'm talking like walking up one flight of stairs, I was absolutely winded. I had no muscle. I got chubby and I was just in the worst shape ever. I have now been consistently working out 2 to 3 times a week, for a month. Which to some of you, you're like, wow, hooray, big whoop. No, but for me, it's a big deal because I really struggle with, I think especially with like having depression, like I struggle with motivation and like sticking to things. It's really easy for me to just like sit at home and to decide to not leave the house or not leave the couch and to not do anything.
When kids don't help. Everything is harder with kids.
Yeah. But the gym that I go to, they have childcare and I get to like drop the kids off and go work out for an hour. And then after my hour-long class, I get to either like the other day I went and I got a protein shake and I went and sat by the pool for 30 minutes. And it was just really nice. And it's like a good break. And it's so good for my mental health. And I feel physically so much stronger. I feel skinnier. I haven't lost any weight, but I think that's because I am gaining muscle. I feel so strong. And I've noticed too in my workout classes, like when I started, I was using like the lightest weights and that's all I could do. Now I'm up and I'm like using a lot heavier weights than I was before doing these workouts. So I feel stronger and I'm seeing the difference. And that's what's so motivating and why I like want to talk about it is because I actually see the change happening.
Flex for the camera.
Look at these legs, boy. I'm not buff by any means, but
I've been swimming a lot.
Yeah.
And I like it. I like it a lot more than running. I hate that
See, I hated running for the longest time. Like you would always you know I hated running.
Yeah.
Absolutely hated running. I love it now. The other day at my workout class, I ran 2 miles. I felt great. I had no complaints. There was not one time.
Probably because it's not as competitive. You don't feel like you have to hit a certain time, right?
Yeah, that is true. Like running in the Marine Corps, that was, first of all, it was a lot harder.
You were scored on it.
And it was like, if you don't perform your absolute best, you're getting screamed at. And I didn't like that.
Yeah.
That was a lot of pressure. But also during that time, I remember like I would get every single morning when we would have to run that 3 miles every morning. Remember when we had to do that?
Mm-hmm.
That was the dumbest thing ever. But every morning that we would do that, I would get super bad cramps in the middle of the run, like period type cramps. So bad. It hurt so bad. And then I would throw up every time, every single time, every single day. I would stop and I would throw up and I would have to go and catch up. And then I felt like I was going to poop my pants every day. And that's why I hated running, because it hurt. It was so uncomfortable.
That was so, I relate with that.
I remember one time Atticus
I think we've already
stopped.
told that. I think we've already told that story.
I don't think we have.
I think so.
No, we have not. We've not talked about that. Our friend Atticus, we were running that 3 mile stretch that we had to do every morning.
I don't know if he wants us to tell.
All right, one of our friends.
No. Don't even go into that.
Okay.
No, I relate to it because I don't know what it was, but something about every morning going on a run.
You had to
and
poop.
Then getting back, I was like, not during the run. I never really felt.
I always felt like I was going to poop my pants.
No, it was always when I was done. Like I stopped running. Running would help my body like turn that off.
What?
Yeah, my mind would turn it off. It'd be like, all right, no, you don't need to use the restroom right now. You're running.
It felt like my body was like, get rid of this extra weight right now.
Well, that's a thing. I think like that's why people like poop themselves when they
or pee themselves.
When
And
they're gonna
I
fight.
always felt like I was just pee myself too.
because your body's getting ready to run, like
Yeah,
for your
I
life.
don't know.
Maybe your body thought it was running for its life, and
Maybe all that pressure of like having to do my best, and it wasn't just doing your best, but we ran in groups and you had to keep up with your group.
but which group were you in?
I was in the third group that left.
Okay,
So the way it worked was the
Third slowest.
first group that left was the fastest group.
no, it was the opposite.
No, okay,
Slowest.
I was in the third to last. That's what I was.
I think there
the
was-
third to last.
I think there were 6 groups. First group was the slowest because it gave them the most time to,
Uh-huh.
and then the last group would leave a few minutes after the first group had
Yeah,
left.
yeah. I was in the third to last group. So I was one of the faster groups based on my PFT score. It was based on your PFT score, I'm pretty sure. But in boot camp, I was in the best shape of my life. Okay, going into like after MCT, I didn't run one single time in MCT. And then going into like the school and doing those runs, that I don't think that I was like, I hated running at that point. And if I didn't have to run, I didn't. So I wasn't that, like, being in that group pushed me really hard. But
Anyway,
anyway.
I like swimming now.
Yeah. Sorry.
I was really bad at swimming, but I think I'm getting better.
I taught you how to swim.
Okay.
I did. Do you not remember?
I'll say you
I showed you the basics of how to swim.
I'll say you taught me how to swim, but how do I put this? I didn't learn from you. You taught me. So you went through the effort of trying to help me learn how to swim. But I would say most of my learning has come.
I didn't actively
recently.
teach you, like, help you practice.
Well, and I don't even remember.
It was
you
because
showing
you
me
were.
very much.
It was because you were going into. You guys had like this swimming.
We were doing a triathlon.
Yeah, and you were like, I don't know how to swim, and so I taught you. And then you would go back to Yuma and practice.
I don't even think then I wasn't a good. I still sucked at swimming, but recently I've been swimming at the gym and I've gotten a lot better. I'm starting to actually do flip turns. So when you go, you're swimming freestyle and then you do a front flip at the end and then push off the wall.
Mm-hmm.
I've been doing that. It feels so cool. I can't do it. I can't continue to go. Like you'll see people who are, it's always the old
Yeah.
people. They'll go flip, go flip, go flip. Like they'll just keep going for like an hour. And I do that once and I'm tired and I have to catch my
Mhm.
breath. And a lot of it is I have a hard time with the water on my face and all that. Like I think it's very mental. My brain is like, you're drowning.
Yeah.
So I think it's just time that I it'll take time for me to get better at swimming. But I think I'm bigger than you.
Oh my goodness, no way.
Just a little bit. I'm 226 pounds, which is crazy. I think it's all in my belly. I don't have fat legs. I don't have
Yeah.
I don't have fat arms.
Mine's all in my belly too.
It's the dad bod.
I got that mom pooch.
Is that what they call it?
I think so. Mom pooch. Pouch pooch.
Speaking of being a mom and dad, let's go after Miss Rachel.
Oh no.
Miss Rachel, you're canceled. Close your channel.
I mean, at least
It's
in this
over.
house. In this house.
Yeah.
We can't speak for everybody.
So I'll give you guys some context here. If you don't know who Miss Rachel is a children content creator. So she creates videos for children.
I think everybody knows who Ms. Rachel is.
Well, I'm just giving quick context. Ages, I would say like 6 months to probably like
4 or 5.
4 or 5, yeah. Right before they get into school. We really liked her videos because they were super engaging. They weren't like Cocomelon or just turn your brain off.
They really helped. Like Phoebe, I really think that she started talking so early and so good because she was watching Ms. Rachel. It helped us learn sign language. Phoebe knew sign language as a baby.
Yeah, and just when there are, I mean, our kids aren't going to become iPad kids. I don't think they are iPad kids.
No, not at all.
We don't give them our phones or iPad. I mean, we tried the iPad thing with Phoebe for a little bit and that died after like a week.
Yeah. Yeah, I've seen iPad kids in the wild and
our
I
kids
am
are
not
nowhere near that.
I'm not going to let that happen.
The times that we'll put a phone or the TV on is like we
need a break.
And it's not very long.
You guys can either sit and play, and most of the time it's like you can sit and watch this. And most of the time Phoebe will start watching it and then she'll stop and just go play with her toys.
She's so used to, that's what I think the benefit of like having the TV on more often, I guess. Like there's parents who will limit the screen time of kids for like 20 minutes a day, which is probably a good thing. But then your kid is like, every time the screen is on, they're just sucked in. Phoebe, she'll like kind of look at the TV and now she doesn't even care anymore. She doesn't care about it.
Yeah.
But I think when we're in public, we're not putting a phone in front of her.
Yeah, no. We did for a little bit.
Well, we've had more family members try to give them her phone or give her their phone.
Mm-hmm.
We've had more family members try to do that and be like, here, Phoebe, watch this. Then we've done it.
Yeah.
Like we'll do it at home mostly.
When we were like new parents and Phoebe got to the age where like she needed to be entertained all the time, like probably 9 months. Like that's when I started like at the grocery store, like putting Ms. Rachel on my phone and letting her watch it so that she wouldn't scream and so that I didn't have to hold her while I was pushing the cart. And then after like a couple months that stopped and I stopped giving her my phone. And I've never given Shepherd my phone like that.
Yeah, he's so cute.
He's so cute.
Anyway, back to Miss Rachel. So Miss Rachel was one of the people that we would put on pretty consistently.
Yeah.
Pretty much every time. Last year, she came out with a video saying, Happy Pride Month. I see you and I love you. And that was pretty much the extent of it, from what I understand. I watched the video, made me feel a little bit weird. Because then we looked into one of the people that is on her.
That's in her videos.
One of the people that's in her videos is a woman named Jules. But she kind of dresses like a guy, like wears hats, short hair, baggy
and like
clothes.
I didn't have a problem with that.
Yeah, and I don't have a problem with like tomboys or anything.
Yeah.
There was something definitely weird with her, but I don't want to make any specific claims because we don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe it'd be something worth looking into further. It is kind of an interesting thing. We could make a whole podcast about the dark history of Miss Rachel or something. But yeah, so this year for Pride Month, Miss Rachel made a video saying the same thing, Happy Pride Month. But this time she brought God into it. She might have done that last year, but this time she was very much like, Jesus says the most important commandment is to love your neighbor. And so,
And no, she said Jesus said that the most important commandment is to love the Lord with all your heart and to love your neighbor as yourself. But she misquoted it to conform to her ideology, because that's not what Jesus said. Jesus said the most important commandment is to love the Lord your God with all your heart, period. And then let me.
so I don't think she
But
didn't.
she misquoted
she
it
didn't
because
misquote
it's
it.
not it. She did, because it's not and, because that would make them equal, but it's not. The greatest commandment is to
Read it.
love. Okay.
So Jesus says the two greatest commandments are to love God with all your heart and love your neighbor as yourself.
Teacher, which this is Matthew 22. Teacher, which is the greatest commandment in the law? Jesus said to him, you shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your mind, period. This is the first and great commandment. And the second is like it. You shall love your neighbor as yourself. On these two commandments hang all the law and the prophets. So Ms.Rachel quoted it as, you shall love the Lord your God with all your soul, all your mind, and with all your heart, all your soul, and all your mind, and to love your neighbor as yourself. She misquoted that because that's not what it says. It says all your mind, period. This is the first and great commandment, period.
I'm not sure how much that matters. I don't know.
It does, because in the video, she goes on to say that Jesus said that the greatest commandment is to love your neighbor as yourself.
First, just as
That is misquoted.
I don't think it's necessarily misquoted.
That is misquoted.
No,
because
she's not
what's
saying
the greatest commandment? To love God and to love your neighbor as yourself. That's not what it says.
She said, well, she's not saying that the greatest commandment is to love God and your neighbors. She's saying
literally what she just said.
These are the two.
No.
Yes.
At the end of that, she said these are the two greatest commandments.
She does say that they're these two commandments. She
Yes,
says that.
but
and so she is saying that they are separate. She is saying that there are two commandments that Jesus says are the most important. First is to love God and to love your neighbor with all your heart. Or love your neighbor.
Yes, listen though. She did misquote it. Okay, if you're going to quote the Bible, quote it word for word.
Well, she didn't quote it, I don't think.
She was quoting the Bible.
No, she was explaining a story.
Anyway, so she misquoted it, first of all. That's the first problem I have with it. The second problem is that... You can say
she didn't quote it.
Is the second problem that I have... Here.
Just say, wait. So she didn't quote it. And that's okay to have an issue with that. She didn't quote it directly.
It could be looked at as misquoted.
No, because she didn't say, Jesus said, quote. Like she wasn't quoting it. She was just saying, there's this story about Jesus and this teacher that came to him.
Anyway, past that, okay. That was the first issue that I personally had with it, was I felt that she misquoted the Bible in order to conform to her ideology. Okay. Second issue I have with Ms.Rachel coming out and being like, love is love, I choose to love, blah, 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 is I feel like that is very, I don't want to say non-Christian. Like she says that she's a Christian, but her saying that, and it just seems like, how do I say this? Like you always hear non-Christians say, well, aren't you supposed to love? Aren't you supposed to love? And you're supposed to be kind and you're supposed to love everybody? Yes. But loving does not mean affirming and accepting somebody's sin. Being gay is a sin.
Being gay isn't a sin.
Acting homosexuality, like being sexual in that way, that's a sin. Okay? Being transgender, that is, you know what? I can't say if that's necessarily a sin or not, but it is wrong.
It's against God's will.
It is wrong. It's against God's creation. Okay, it's wrong. It is.
So sin is going against God's will. And I might be oversimplifying that, but I think a good definition is going against God's will. And so to say that God didn't make you the right way is going against his will. That's why I think transgender being, pretending that you're a woman, cutting off your body parts and all this stuff, that is, I would say that that's a sin.
Okay,
That's sinful.
and then you have the whole LGBTQ plus community is based on pride. Okay, that pride is a sin. The whole cult, it's literally a cult. It's a religion.
It's a religion.
And the whole thing, like they are
satanic.
so,
it's satanic.
It's satanic. And it's also like they put their whole entire identity into being gay or being bi or being transgender or pansexual or whatever it is, whatever they're choosing to be. They're putting their whole identity, that is their entire personality. That's a sin. Your identity is supposed to be in Jesus. And the problem that I have is with Ms.Rachel coming out and saying that she is a Christian and then telling people it's okay to sin. It's okay. You're sinning and you're going against God's will and you're really upsetting God, but that's fine. I love you. Loving is not affirming and accepting sin. If you were doing drugs, say you were doing like heroin or something, it's okay. I love you. I'm here for you. It's okay. You can keep doing it. It's fine. I love you. No, I would not do that. I would not sit there and let you kill yourself and let you hurt yourself. That is not loving. Loving is saying, you need help. I'm here to help you. I will help you through this. You need to get help. You need to go to rehab. You need to get clean. Me sitting here and saying, it's fine. You might OD someday, but it's okay. I love you. That's not love. That is not truly caring for somebody. I don't like that she's calling herself a Christian and then misquoting the Bible and like using it as like a weapon in the wrong way. She's using it as a weapon against Jesus rather than as a weapon for Jesus.
She's using it the way that Satan used it to tempt Jesus in the wilderness.
Yeah.
So Satan has demonstrated that you can use scripture in its incorrect context without understanding it and just knowing the words, quote it, and use it against God.
So I was just actually doing a Bible study last week on Jesus being tempted in the wilderness. And I noticed that one of the things that I wrote down was it's important that you know the context of scripture and that you know the true meaning of it. And it's important that we study scripture and really understand it because, yes, Jesus knows scripture. Other Christians know scripture, but your enemy also knows scripture. So if you don't know the context, he will use that against you.
That's why a lot of people who are fighting Christians will say things like, doesn't your book say this or that? They'll say, doesn't it say you can't eat meat? Doesn't it say that women should be submissive?
Yep. Perfect example.
That's straight up satanic.
Perfect example. Ms.Rachel.
Yep. Back to Ms.Rachel.
I'm supposed to love my neighbor and I choose love. It's like kind of like
I think she even said you're perfect as you are.
She gives off this holier than thou, like, look at me. I choose love. It's the right thing. I choose love. And to me, that's very like arrogant and cocky and like, it's almost like, look at me. I choose love and you don't, and I'm better than you. Well, and you can't say anything to me because I choose love. Well, you can't say that anything that I said was wrong because I said I choose love. What's wrong with love? Well, Ms.Rachel, right. That's not love.
Well, she's saying like, look, I'm a real Christian. Like, I don't care if you want to leave my channel. That's okay. I choose love. Like
Yeah.
as if her idea of love is some great goodness that we all need to be aligned with. But I think, yeah, Miss Rachel, that ideology is satanic. Affirming someone in their sin. It's different to love a sinner and to love and to
Yes.
accept sin. Accepting sin is where the line is drawn. So as soon as you say you're perfect as you are, like in that the context of that being your behaviors are perfect, you behave perfectly, you act, everything that you do is fine because you're born that way. That's what's satanic, because that's putting yourself first. Satanism is I am God. I'm my own God.
Mhm.
So anything that pleases me is what I'm going to chase. And so that's why I say it's satanic, because yeah, putting your identity in yourself and not living selflessly. This is
Mhm.
what I was saying last week about gay parents is they put themselves first. They put their sexuality first, and they're not willing to live selflessly so that they can have children and be a good father. Yeah, Miss Rachel canceled.
Well, and
Don't
I don't
watch
want
Miss
to.
Rachel.
I don't want to like. I don't want people watching this to think like that because I'm so fired up about it that I'm like not being loving.
Yeah.
And that I'm not, or that like I'm angry, but
we
I
gotta
kind
call
of
it out.
am a little bit angry
Righteous
because yes, righteous anger, because it makes, when you misrepresent Christianity like how Miss Rachel did and how many people do, that is so dangerous.
Well,
it's dangerous, and it just puts like it like makes.
There's going to be people out there who think that Christianity and what God is accepting and loving of sin.
People, so I go back to thinking of me as a little baby Christian starting out, trying to figure out what is Christianity and who is Jesus. That is so dangerous for people that look up to Miss Rachel to be like, oh, Miss Rachel's a Christian. I'm gonna follow in her footsteps and I'm gonna do what she does. She's such a good teacher to my children. Why can't she be a good teacher to me? You guys, that's so dangerous, because if I was a little baby Christian and I was looking up to Miss Rachel to figure out my faith, I would have the completely wrong idea of what it means to be a Christian and what it means to be a follower of Jesus and who Jesus is.
This is why I said last year, and I think even the year before that, and you pushed back on it, I think it's okay to call out people for not being Christian. I think it's okay to look at a Miss Rachel and say, you are not a Christian, and to just completely denounce that and say, that's not Christianity. Because when we do become too loving and accepting of all these different, this progressive woke Christianity, what happens is you end up with people like Miss Rachel who are saying, I know Christianity, everybody. Christianity is you are perfect as you are, and you don't need to change anything about yourself. And if you don't call that out, then there's going to be people who follow Miss Rachel's Christianity. Yeah. Here's what. So the counter argument is separate the artist from the art, right? So Miss Rachel clearly lost as a Christian. She doesn't understand what love means. Will she one day? Maybe. I hope she does. We'll be praying for her, because I do think that with her influence, it's important that she does become a Christian. But when you talk about her art, most of it hasn't been bad, right? She's singing, she's very appropriate with the kids most of the time. I would say the closest thing to the line is Jules.
Yep.
Because that can be confusing to kids. Yeah. But I think where I am saying stop watching Miss Rachel is because she reached out to Dylan Mulvaney, a man who's pretending to be a woman and who's wearing
claims to be a Christian also.
Does he?
Yes, he claims to have a relationship with, he said, me and God, we're dating right now. We're not exclusive, but we're just dating right now. Like, it was just so, like, it just felt like
anyway, so
honestly. But
Dylan Mulvaney is a dude who pretends to be a woman. He wears womanhood as a costume. So I don't know why women aren't more frustrated with guys who think that all women are high heels and cramps.
His whole day two of being a woman, today I wore high heels. Like that does not, I am a woman. I never, you will never catch me in high heels.
Yeah.
That doesn't make you a woman. Okay.
Well, a woman is whatever you want it to be. So if it, but then they'll say, but a woman is someone who wears high heels and makeup and long hair. And so they're the ones that are categorizing women into all these physical features. Anyway, Dylan, not a good role model at all for especially children, but for women or men, he's just completely lost. And to have Ms.Rachel go to Dylan Mulvaney and say, I would like you to be on Songs for Littles, which is what her channel's called. Mm-hmm. To have her go to him and say, I love your music and your singing and what you represent, whatever. I don't know exactly what she said, but to invite that into her world where our kids are at, that is where it's like, nope, you're done, Ms.Rachel. No more. Mm-hmm. No more. And I mean, she said, I'm not chasing views or anything like that, but
honestly, I think she'll start seeing the effects of it when she's not making money anymore.
I hope she starts feeling it in her heart. I hope that she's not like, oh, I got canceled. Let me appease the mob. I want her to be like, I got canceled. I wonder why. I'm going to go back to what people are saying about Christianity and love. And I'm going to look into that. And I'm going to try to pursue God and what he has for me and try to align with him. Because right now she is headed down a dangerous road. Yeah. So let's go ahead and move on to our recommendation.
Silly Miss Lily. Whoop whoop. Paisley's Corner.
Silly Miss Lily at Paisley's Corner is her YouTube channel.
Mm-hmm.
I think her Instagram is Lily B Coco.
Yeah. So we have been watching. We're like OG Silly Miss Lilies.
Yeah.
She got really, really popular after Ms.Rachel got canceled. But we've been watching Silly Miss Lily like with Ms.Rachel since Phoebe was a baby. Phoebe loves Silly Miss Lily. And like her channel was definitely not as big as Ms.Rachel's, right?
Yeah.
But we really liked her, and like
she doesn't have a huge production.
She doesn't. She does it all in her house. She does everything. I'm pretty sure she does it all by herself.
Yeah, her and her husband probably.
Yeah. And she just is so like bright. She's so bright and she keeps it about the kids. She doesn't really post like her like political views or even religious views, which I can appreciate, because when you're like teaching kids how to talk or how to do sign language, that stuff does not need to be included in that.
Yeah, I mean, we take charge of that in our home, at least, and I think that everyone should. But I haven't seen anything bad in her channel. But it was funny because she just posted a video saying, like, I just got a whole bunch of like, thank you for everyone getting me to 50 million views, I think it was, or something, some crazy number. And she's like, this is insane. And some of the comments were like, this is what happens when you
keep it about the kids.
Yeah, keep it about the kids. Keep the LGBT out of it.
She follows us on Instagram now.
Yeah, she follows us now. Shout out Silly Miss Silly. Go check her out.
Yeah.
Because
her channel is great.
Unsubscribe from Ms.Rachel. Subscribe to Paisley's Corner. Because I think she's created great content, and I think she will continue to. And I think she's only going to get better. I might even reach out to her to see if she needs help, because I want to.
You want to support?
I want to support her even more. But
it would be really cool to have her on the podcast and like talk to her about all of this stuff. But or even like how she started or why she started her channel.
Yeah.
And just to, like, to see the kind of person that she is off child camera, you know, like off of performing for children.
Yeah, it's funny because who's the other one? Blippy. Like, when you watch him interact with adults, he's like, hi, I'm Blippy. Like, he's super cartoonish. And these like people who have just everyday jobs are just like, looking at him. He's like, what do you do for work? And they're just like,
I'm a garbage man.
Yeah. Seriously. I'm a garbage. I was just taking out the trash right now. He's like, wow, that's amazing. Do you have a garbage truck?
Yeah.
Anyway, we'll wrap it up here. Thank you guys for listening. We're going to get back to it every week. Shout out to my mom. She's watching the kids with her husband right now. They're just playing up there, hear them watching a movie or something.
Yeah.
But they're going to be watching the kids a lot more. So we'll be more consistent every week posting these episodes and talking a little bit more about news. I want to get a little bit more news in there and then what we think about things like the whole Ms.Rachel thing.
Yeah.
News related to parents and family, marriage, stuff like that. So if you're interested in that kind of stuff, subscribe, follow along, go to our Instagram, wherever it goes podcast, follow there. We're going to be posting a lot more there. And just continue to support. If you enjoy our content, give us a like, all that good stuff. But so anything else?
That's it.
Thank you guys, and we'll see you next week.
Bye.